2 minutes to 6, we're live across the UK. Do we have sport this hour? No, we haven't got sport. We've got loads coming up. And next is one of my favourite guests. It's always good to speak to him. Lovely to have him along. If you've got a question for Ben Habib in the next 20 minutes, 0344 499 1000. You can text 87222. Benjamin, good afternoon, sir. How are you?
Good afternoon. Good to see you, Jeremy.
I'm always promised with you clarity. Have you ever in your life seen such a 24-hour debacle? We watched 3 Tory PMs lose their jobs. We saw a proroguing of Parliament. We saw some extraordinary scenes. But a Prime Minister with a 180-seat majority putting forward, and stop smiling, his flagship policy,
so smiling because of what you're going to say.
Incapable of planning, foresight, whatever, has to strip everything out of it and end up not saving 5 billion but costing the Exchequer 100 million just to get the vote through. I mean, he's a busted flush. His own backbenchers, surely Ben Habib, know that if they hold out, they'll get whatever they want now.
I mean, yesterday was extraordinary. Perhaps we'll discuss what happened today, but yesterday was extraordinary. A bill that was meant to save just 1.6% of the welfare bill in total. Just 1.6%. They couldn't get it through. And every sane-minded individual in this country knows that welfare and benefits are through the roof by a bunch of people who should not be getting them, as you were describing earlier. Mental health issues have now become the new back pain, as we used to have in the 1980s and 1990s. And by the way, the best solution or best way of curing mental health issues is to work, is to have some occupation, not to be sitting at home getting depressed and examining one's own navel, getting out there and doing something. There are 3 million people in this country not looking for a job, claiming mental health issues. This has never been the case before. I refuse to believe that there are 3 million people incapable of work because of mental health. Of course, there will be legitimate people out there who are overwhelmed.
But you know what's really interesting? I completely agree, and I've said for a long time, before we even knew each other, I've said that I've never understood a policy whereby we seemingly have to import people into this country to do jobs like, I don't know, hospital porters or whatever, when we've got a large number of people, 4 million on benefits. Now, the adage is to go, they're all mentally ill, disabled. No, they're not. That's absolute tripe, right? Let's just be generous and say that half are. The genuine ones, and I'm happy to pay my taxes. But you're right. Get out of bed, get some structure, get something on your CV, give something back that will benefit you and the country that's paying your money, and then we don't need to spend billions on people coming to this country. There has to be an onus on giving something back. There is an apathy, and it's the same with the welfare bill, because the minute you try and strike something off, and you're right, 1.6%, 5 billion, that's absolutely a drop in the ocean. The minute you do it, the ideological left jump up and down and go, you're being anti-disabled people. No, not in any way. I absolutely believe that the genuine people should absolutely have everything. What we're trying to explain and weed out is the people, like the immigration problem, who find a loophole in systems that are antiquated and don't work anymore, and that's all we're talking about, right?
Absolutely right. You know, we've got 7.7 million people on universal credit out of a workforce of 31 million. That is absolutely horrendous. Some of them are working. I think about 1.5 million of the 7.7 million are working. 1.5 million are looking for a job, but the rest are not. The rest are just sitting at home. And it's not that this is welfare that's being dispensed in their hour of need. This is now becoming a choice for people. And the protective blanket of the state has become so profound that it's a career choice to accept that.
Yeah, you know, this is another discussion I always have with people. It's funny, isn't it? When I left college a long time ago now, because I'm 60 on Monday and I'm just terribly miserable about it. You went to college or you went to work. Now, I don't care if this is an unpopular comment. You can go to college or work or sign on. It's never meant to be a bloody career choice. It was never meant to be. It's a safety net, and here's the really frustrating point, Ben. The genuine people who ring this show in their hundreds and say that when I have needed it, when I've paid into this system for years, when I need help, they tell me no. I mean, ludicrous.
It's absurd. And let's not forget that 1.5 million foreigners are on benefits.
Yeah.
And of course, and then on top of that, we've got all the illegal migrants who they say are costing us about 6 billion a year. I'm sure the cost of illegal migrants in the United Kingdom is much, much higher than what we're being
20,000 small boats crossing so far this year, out of control under Labour.
Yeah.
Smashing the gangs didn't work, did it?
No, of course you can't smash the gangs. The gangs are based in Europe. Our intelligence services and law enforcement are based in the United Kingdom. How the hell are they going to tackle the gangs in Europe? The whole thing was a complete deflection. It's nonsense. The only way to stop the boats is, guess what? Stop the boats. Stop them in the channel and say, go back to France.
Do you see that front page? Do you see the front page of the Sun today? We get it up on screen for you. Buggy useless. Brilliant, brilliant headline in the Sun. I'll hold it up because we don't seem to have it at the moment. But great headline, which basically, French kit paid for by the UK. There it is. French cops parade around in a buggy paid for by the UK yesterday as migrants in Digni's sail past them. Part of the 500 million we give them every single year. Buggies, nothing. All this equipment, and they're taking the mickey. Great on the front of the Sun there. But I mean, yet again, laughing at us. And I think that's what a lot of people think at the moment. I think they think, hold on a second, migrants are doing better, criminals are doing better. And yet we're screwing waspy women and pensioners, and we've
become dysfunctional. We're dysfunctional as a country. But nothing works. We're incapable of building anything, HS2 being a great example. We can't protect our airfields. Palestinian protesters can break in and paint stuff on our aeroplanes. We have a Chancellor in tears in the House of Parliament. She couldn't even get a bill through Parliament yesterday. Nothing works. I mean, you know, the electorate must be looking at Parliament, looking at the institutions that govern this country and thinking, what the hell am I paying anything for? Sure, I don't get benefits if I lose my job, and I won't get the well-protected bracket of the welfare state because it's being wasted elsewhere. But you're not getting anything even when you're in the job. Nothing that we pay for comes back to us. Our army, which should be protecting us, our navy, which should be stopping these illegal migrants. None of that's working.
No.
Our army's a shadow of its former self.
Couldn't agree more.
What the hell is wrong with us? And we're sacrificing this country on the altar of ideologies that are fundamentally flawed. Net zero being perhaps the one of the most...
There's how I'd save billions of pounds straight away. Billions of pounds.
We've got 187 billion tons of unmined coal. 187 billion tons under our feet that we could use to cut energy costs, but they won't do it because of ideological reasons. They pivoted away from massive reserves of gas in the North Sea, and now they're having to import liquefied natural gas from the United States of America at vast cost with a greater carbon footprint. We deindustrialized the United Kingdom in order to meet net zero targets and basically importing the same stuff from China with a greater carbon footprint.
It doesn't make any bloody sense.
Enriching the Chinese economy. Everything is mad.
I mean, it is. Let's talk about today's unedifying scenes. Slightly different. Let me just explain where we were, Mikey and I, because we were obviously initially Rachel Reeves seemingly crying, quite emotional. You have to be careful. Suddenly it came out that maybe it was a personal thing. Then it transpires that there was an altercation with Speaker Lindsay Hoyle. Kev apparently has got another theory, which we'll talk about. But the truth of the matter is, let's cut to the chase. And it wasn't edifying at all. There are people texting me saying, well, I'm afraid that's life, love, because, you know, you didn't give a thought, did you, when pensioners were freezing to death last winter, or when the waspy women were turned down, or when farmers were called capitalists, and when small businesses were destroyed. But actually, what's really, really interesting in this whole thing is that this woman is the most powerful fiscal person in this country, right? If you look at those pictures, the one thing Harry Cole said to me 2 hours ago, which has kept with me through this whole show, the markets are reacting already. The pound is lowering in value against the dollar. The bond traders are going, what is their policy? They're severely in debt, and this woman is cracking. Now, nobody wants to see anybody crack under pressure, but the fact of the matter is, a lot is coming home to roost, and the financial future of this country, I suspect, is on the line. Don't you agree?
It absolutely is. So there are two issues here. We're financially on the precipice, if not over it anyway, because we've borrowed way too much. We're spending far too much, most of it wasted. But you can't have a frontline statesman or stateswoman bursting into tears in Parliament. You can't have it. great sympathy for whatever her personal issue is, if it is a personal issue. But you've got to have the fortitude to be able to hold yourself together when you're in that position.
What message does it send? What message does it send?
It sends we'll be governed by weak people. And you wouldn't have seen that in the 1980s or under Thatcher. The cabinet would have been absolutely robust in its position. And if someone was under huge pressure, they wouldn't come into the chamber. They'd stay outside the chamber.
Well, I think that's what Mikey and I were talking about. You know, if you're under pressure, it's a personal thing, then why have you been forced to be dragged there? But then more of that will come out. Will you do me a favour? Are you OK to stay with us? I want to take some calls with you. The excellent Ben Habib will be back after the break here.